So many people reach out to me asking, does my child really need a special needs trust? There are certain situations where this could be unclear. Maybe your child has a physical disability, but not an intellectual disability. Maybe they're very young and they recently got a diagnosis, say on the autism spectrum, and we don't know if they'll be able to work in the future. Or maybe they have a mental health challenge and the future is unclear. By the end of this video, you should have a better idea of whether you should set up a special needs trust for your child. Hi, this is Ellen Cookman. Welcome to my channel. In this channel, we're going to talk about how to help special needs families set up estate plans. Estate planning for special needs families is complex, and our goal is to make it as easy for you as possible. If this information is helpful to you, please subscribe and also hit the notification button so you'll be notified every time a new video comes out. My law firm has helped hundreds of families navigate the complex waters of setting up estate plans. So I'm excited to share all of my knowledge and experience with you. In order to figure out if your child really needs a special needs trust, the first step we need to do is figure out which public benefits does your child receive. And this can be a harder thing to figure out than you might think. There's several different types of public benefits out there. I like thinking of it like there's two categories. There's income and there's health insurance, all right? So you think about it, when you're working and supporting yourself, those are really the two main things that you get from public benefits. You get an income stream and you get health insurance. Now, it's my hope that someday we're all going to get health insurance that's not connected to our employment, but we're not there yet, at least not in 2022. So we need to think about, how is somebody going to get that income stream and the health insurance? So to further illustrate this point, I'm going to use this diagram. There's really two different types of public benefits. There's something that we call needs-based public benefits, and then there's entitlement-based public benefits. So needs-based public benefits mean that you need to have less than $2,000 of countable assets to qualify for those benefits. All right. Right now, there's two public benefits that are in that category. Supplemental Security Income, or SSI, which in California provides up to just over $1,000 a month. That's supplemented. Most states actually just provide about $750 a month. So California is more generous, but it's still not very much. And if you get just $1 of SSI, you automatically qualify for Medi-Cal, which is California's version of the federal Medicaid system. Now, I do want to pause and let you know that the rules for Medi-Cal are changing for the better. So in July 2022, the Medi-Cal eligibility amount is going up from $2,000, you can only have $2,000 in your bank account, to $130,000. And that's just for a single person. If you have dependents at home, you can have even more. And then in 2024, the beginning of 2024, this is not going to be needs-based anymore. It's actually going to go down to this row. So it's a moving target, but I did want to kind of go into the weeds there a little bit. All right, now there's two benefits that are entitlement-based, which means that somebody paid into the system and you're entitled to them regardless of what kind of inheritance you receive, all right? One of them is called Social Security Disability Insurance, SSDI. And you'll notice that SSDI is very similar in name to SSI. And they're also run by the same program, Social Security Administration. So sometimes it can be really challenging to figure out, does my child have SSI or SSDI? All right, you get SSDI if you've been working for a while and then you become disabled, or you can get a related benefit called Child Disability Benefits, which is if you worked for a while and then you retired and you have a disabled child, then your child can get half of what you're receiving in Social Security, right? So either one of those qualifies here, and if you get 2 years of these benefits, you qualify for Medicare. All right, so why am I explaining all of that in the special needs trust conversation? Well, this is why. If you need to have under $2,000 of countable assets and you receive an inheritance outright or in a fairly permissible trust, then SSI, you're completely bumped off of it. And Medi-Cal, for now, you're bumped off as well. The rules are going to change in a few years, which is awesome, but we're still dealing with current rules. So for SSI and currently for Medi-Cal, your child will need a special needs trust to protect their inheritance. So the special needs trust is written in such a way that it doesn't count as your child's money. Somebody else is managing the trust, and your child cannot revoke the trust or demand the money or act as trustee. Because of that, it's not counted as the child's assets. So it doesn't count towards that $2,000 eligibility limit. Okay, so if your child's receiving just SSDI and Medicare, does that mean that a special needs trust is off the table? I don't think so. A special needs trust can still be useful for management purposes if the child really does need somebody else to manage their money. So I want to actually describe, well, what's the difference between a special needs trust and a more permissive trust, say like a lifetime trust or a dynasty trust? Why might you want to use one rather than the other if your child's just receiving SSDI and Medicare? Well, the special needs trust does insist that the child can never become trustee. So that's a limitation. And the other limitation is that the special needs trust is not supposed to distribute cash. So if you want a trust that is allowed that you can distribute cash from, then you might want to use a different type of trust, like a revocable trust or a dynasty trust or some other trust that is more permissible in cash distributions. Other than that, honestly, a special needs trust can be used for just about anything the child needs. It's very, very broad. I think there's a fallacy that, oh, if my child has a special needs trust, they can hardly use it for anything. That's really not true. It's really meant to enhance their quality of life and make them as happy as possible while making sure that the distributions stay within the financial projections that the trustee should have done so that the child doesn't run out of money at the end. If this information is resonating with you, please hit the like button below. This will help YouTube push out this information to more special needs families who might need it. So you might be wondering, what if my child doesn't need a special needs trust in the future? We all have very high hopes for our children. I was very inspired, for example, by one client who came in and they have a child with Down syndrome, but they're determined that their child should be able to work and support themselves in the future. And they're providing every intervention possible. Now, so that's always our hope. And we want to draft it with the most flexibility. So if that happens, we don't know if it will, but if that happens, then it can possibly distribute into a more permissible trust that is actually allowed under California rules. So there's several ways to build in this flexibility in the special needs trust if you have a child who's very high functioning and might be able to work and support themselves in the future and won't need SSI or Medi-Cal. One way is you can give the child what we call a testamentary power of appointment. Okay, that's a lot of weird words. What does that mean? That means on the child's death, they have the power to redirect where any money remaining in the trust goes. So if they have a partner at the time, or if they have a favorite charity, they can redirect the money there by writing out a will and saying, you know, I have this power over this special needs trust and I hereby exercise it by redirecting it there. So the government in California does not consider that to be a power during the lifetime, and so that's okay. It doesn't disqualify the special needs trust as a valid trust. Another provision I love including in special needs trust is what we call an early termination provision. So this provides that if a child is able later on to work and support themselves, let's say for 2 years, 4 years, and they're getting health care through their employer, then the trustee of the trust has the power actually to distribute the money remaining in the trust to a different trust for the benefit of that beneficiary, perhaps to a lifetime trust or a dynasty trust. And the child can become trustee of that lifetime trust or dynasty trust if you choose. Now keep in mind, if you include that early termination provision, professional fiduciaries and banks do not like making that choice. They don't want to say, oh, looks like the kid's doing pretty well, we're going to distribute it into a dynasty trust. Because what happens if your child has a setback and later they need a special needs trust again? Well, it's much more difficult to put the money from the dynasty trust back into a special needs trust. Usually you have to go to court to do something like that. So you'll need to have a family member make that determination. Maybe they're the trust protector. Maybe they're a special trustee, someone who can say, hey, I think the child is ready to manage their own money, or it just looks like they're never going to need public benefits, so it can distribute into a dynasty trust. And then they can direct the trustee to make that distribution. Another way I like to build in flexibility into an estate plan is by including in the parent's revocable trust something I call a toggle switch. So what this says is that upon the second parent's death, or if you're a single person, upon your death, everything goes equally to your kids. Let's say you have 2 kids, but the portion going to your special needs child, if it looks like they'll need means-based public benefits like SSI or Medi-Cal, then it toggles over to their special needs trust. But if it looks like they won't need that in the future, they won't need means-based public benefits, then it toggles over to their lifetime trust or their dynasty trust. So the determination doesn't have to be made now. It can be made on the parent's death. And again, you need, if you have a private professional fiduciary or a corporate trustee set up, then someone else will need to make this determination of which way the money goes. But I found this very reassuring to parents who have very high hopes for their children, as I think we all should. I have a child who's 9 years old and he's on the autism spectrum. I have high hopes that he's going to be able to work and support himself. And honestly, I think a lot of people in Silicon Valley may be on the spectrum and they're still doing terrific at their jobs, but we just never know. So building in this flexibility can be really protective of your child and can also protect them just in case they're not able to hold down a full-time job and they do need extra assistance from the government. So now you should have a better idea of whether your child needs a special needs trust and also how you can incorporate more flexibility into your estate plan so that your child can be as independent as possible. So you may have some specific questions about how to actually set up a special needs trust. I'd ask you to watch this video here, how to set up a special needs trust in California, where we go through all the details. So I'll see you over there.